Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast. I'm Gaurav Sawant. The Supreme Court has refused to stay the Allahabad High Court order permitting the setting up of a court commissioner to carry out a survey at the Shahi Idgah in Mathura, which the Hindu side, the Hindu petitioners insist is the Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi. The Muslim side, of course, had sought a stay on the survey at the Idgah before the settlement of the case being heard in court. The Allahabad High Court had on Thursday appointed an advocate commissioner and gave a nod for a survey. The modalities of this survey are to be decided on the 18th of December. A court-monitored advocate commissioner is going to conduct a survey of the disputed Shahi Idgah premises adjoining the Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Temple in Mathura. Within the next 4 days, the Allahabad High Court will announce the appointment of the commissioner.
After hearing both the parties today, the Honorable Allahabad High Court has ordered for a advocate commissioner survey, and when this advocate commissioner survey will go, it will go and find the actual factual position of the spot and will submit a report before the Honorable Court.
हम जो है हिंदुस्तान के निवासी है तो हिंदुस्तान का संविधान मानते हैं, तो संविधान का जो है संविधान पे विश्वास रखते हैं। जांच के लिए आदेश हो गया है तो जांच जो है होना चाहिए, किसी को विरोध नहीं होना चाहिए।
A petition was filed by the deity Bhagwan Shri Krishna Virajman and 7 others through advocates in the Allahabad High Court insisting that Lord Shri Krishna's birthplace lies beneath the Shahi Idgah Mosque premises and that there are many signs which establish that the mosque was built on a Hindu temple foundation. The petitioners insist that there is a lotus-shaped pillar which is characteristic of Hindu temples and the image of Sheshnag, one of the Hindu deities who protected Lord Krishna on the night of his birth, is present at the Shahi Idgah. In their submissions, the petitioners have also said that at the base of the lotus-shaped pillar of the mosque, Hindu religious symbols and engravings were clearly visible.
Our suits were based on specific research, and we had specific pleadings to this effect that this entire area where Shahi Idgah Mosque is located is an illegal construction and it is an encroachment on the land of the deity.
Earlier, in the last week of November, the Allahabad High Court granted approval for Uttar Pradesh government's construction plans for the Banke Bihari Temple corridor in Mathura. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi right after the Allahabad High Court order. He is also the first Indian Prime Minister to visit the Shri Krishna Temple. Bureau Report, India Today. So the battle lines are very clearly drawn. The Hindu side says the title of the land is very clear and insists that the mosque was actually built illegally at the Shri Krishna Janmasthan in Mathura. So the Hindu side wants the mosque to be shifted elsewhere. The Muslim side, on the other hand, says that this was an already settled issue which is being raked up, as they insist, by mischievous elements and is a clear violation of the Places of Worship Act 1991. So let's get the legalities straight, and joining me on the special broadcast are 2 very well-respected lawyers. Advocate Varis Pathan is a spokesperson of the AIMIM and a High Court lawyer. Advocate Vishnu Jain is the petitioner. In this case, has been fighting a number of cases for restoration of temple land. And Varis Pathan, I want to begin by asking you, sir, why object to the appointment of a survey commissioner, which, after all, as the Hindu side puts it, is a fact-finding body?
Well, Gaurav, to start with, let me tell you, the country will run on the basis of the constitution and not on the basis of yours or my faith or anybody's faith. And to remind you, Places of Worship Act 1991 is still into existence. The intention, the motive of Places of Worship Act was to ensure that prior to the 15 August 1947, whichever the monuments are, places of worships are, you cannot change the nature and character of those places. Now, wrecking up this issue, which is already settled in the year 1968, let me remind you, the Shahi Idgah Trust and the Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Seva Samiti of Mathura, they had entered into an agreement for settlement, which was settled through a court. A court has passed an order. So why to wreck up the issue 50 years after that? And not only that, January 9, the case is kept for hearing.
Sir, fair enough. Sir, you've raised two very pertinent points. Let's take this step by step. The first point you raised was Places of Worship Act. Let's settle the question of Places of Worship Act. Then I'll come to the settlement, the second part. Advocate Vishnu Shankar Jain, please explain, sir. Places of Worship Act 1991 is in place, as Advocate Varis Pathan very rightly puts it. The nature and character of a place as existed on 15th August 1947 shall remain. Are you not in violation of the Places of Worship Act here, sir?
No, I think Places of Worship Act has been violated by the Shahi Idgah Mosque. If you will see the reading of my plaint and the compromise, Gaurav, very interesting thing I want to point on your channel. What was the suit which was filed by Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Seva Sangh in 1964? The specific pleading of Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Seva Sangh in 1964 was that in the land of what is the cutoff date? What is the cutoff date under the Places of Worship Act? 15th August 1947. And this so-called mosque has been built after 15th August 1947 in violation of Section 3 of the is acted in his favor without factual basis. In fact, I am saying on your channel that the Worship Act is attracted in my favor. Because he has changed the religious character by entering into the land of the deity.
Let's take this one by one. Varis Pathan, respond. Places of Worship Act, as Vishnu Shankar Jain puts it, works in favor of Hindus, as papers very clearly indicate. As on 15th August 1947, that place was a temple. A mosque was subsequently built there, is his plea.
Well, this was the same argument which was canvassed prior to the Babri Masjid case. But the Supreme Court has unanimously held that no mandir was demolished to make a masjid there. That was the unanimous decision of the Honorable Supreme Court. But they passed an order under Article 142, which they are entitled to. But then that time also the arguments were that we have already burnt our hands once. Gaurav, kindly try to understand. An affidavit was filed before the Honorable Supreme Court and nothing would happen. But what you, me and the entire country and the world saw was 6 December 1992, which we call it the black day in the history of democracy of our country, wherein our Babri Masjid was demolished. Hamari Babri Masjid ko shahid kar diya gaya tha. So how do you go with that? That is when the Places of Worship Act was meant, all these things were taken into consideration, which Vishnu is now placing before the audience. Everything was considered. Do you think the frameworks of the law, the framers of the law in the parliament, were they not having the knowledge about this kind of thing? Everybody had a knowledge. This was very well settled dispute in the year 1968 itself. Now, wrecking up the issue prior to the 2024 election, we were apprehending that earlier as well. That when we Babri, we said, okay, chalo jane do. Now these things will come again and again. They want to go after 3,000 more. So where do we stand? That is why to stop the hatred between the two communities, to have a peaceful communal harmony in the country, the Places of Worship Act was enacted. But now they don't want to follow the constitution. They don't want to follow the Places of Worship Act. They want to run the country on the basis of the Asta, which is not good for a secularism of the country.
But he's not basing it on Asta. He's saying 15th August 1947, that location was a temple. A mosque was built later. But I'll come back to that point because it has to be settled by court. Vishnu Shankar Jain, the Muslim side insists that this issue, you heard Varis Pathan, he says this issue was very amicably settled in 1968. Why reopen a case and why reopen a Pandora's box in 2023 unless the aim is to influence elections in 2024?
And this suit on 25th of September 2020. When Varis Bhai had got a stay from the Allahabad High Court for 1.5 years, there was no difficulty. Why did Varis Bhai wait for 1.5 years? If he wouldn't have got a stay on the suit for 1.5 years, the matter would have been proceeded, and today, by before 2024, it would have been decided. But he chose to stay the proceedings before the Allahabad High Court. Point number one. Point number two is that this agreement, which was entered into on 12th of October 1968, was entered into by Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Seva Sangh, which had no title in law, which had no authority in law to enter into such kind of agreement or to file a suit for that matter. The original owner of this property is Lord Krishna Virajman through next friend, and the name of the next friend is Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Trust. And remind you, and I'm just telling you, Gaurav, with lot of sense of authority, that Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Trust did not file any compromise. They did not
Okay.
enter into any compromise. I will
No,
not
that's
speak a single word or utter a single word if Varis Bhai can show that Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Trust entered into a compromise.
That's a very big point you are raising, sir, but let me get Varis Pathan to respond on the legal aspect that you're raising. Varis Bhai, you're a lawyer. An agreement is with the owner of the property. The Hindu side contends that the agreement was entered into in 1968 was with unauthorized people who were not the owners of the property. It wasn't the Janmabhoomi Sanstha. It was some Sangh that it was entered with, Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Sangh. That order itself, that agreement itself is being challenged by the Hindu side. Why not let the truth emerge, sir?
Well, Gaurav, it is a lie and an afterthought that after 50 years they feel that the persons who entered into the settlement agreement had no rights. How can you say that, sir? They were before the court. They could have very well gone for perjury for lying before the court. They did not do that. And that is why we say the agreement to settle, that issue was settled between both the parties amicably before the court of law. There was no need for taking up this issue. Only in the year 2020, they come before the nation and say, we want to file a petition saying that, okay, somebody destroyed the temple and the mosque was built. This was the same argument canvassed during the Babri Masjid. The temple is destroyed to make a mosque, but the Supreme Court said nothing of such kind had happened. There is no evidence to connect that.
Different.
That is why we say here also their intentions are mala fide. They want to start a survey, create an hatred. Then again they want to go for the mosque. How can they do this now when the Places of Worship Act is in place and the intention and the concept of the Places of Worship Act is clear? That is why they are doing an illegality. It's unconstitutional. It's against the Places of Worship Act.
What is the hatred which will happen?
Violation of the law.
Okay, Vishnu Shankar Jain wants to respond.
No, I want to ask a
We are
question.
apprehension. We have apprehension, and after the survey,
So-called Shahi Idgah Mosque, what will be the apprehension?
Why you want to do that? Why?
This kind of apprehension was in Gyanvapi also. And when the survey happened, we found shivling from the Vazu tank. When the survey happened, we found various Hindu signs and symbols from the Gyanvapi. And that's why they are apprehensive. They don't want this survey because this is not a mosque as per Islamic law. In this so-called mosque, there are various signs and symbols of Hindu temple, and that's why Varis Bhai does not want any such survey. What's the problem?
To make my point, Gaurav, I want to...
There is no
one by
digging,
one.
there is no excavation, there is no damage caused to the structure.
Is very
So what
clear.
is the harm in such kind of survey?
Allow me, Gaurav. What is this?
Okay, yeah, Varis Pathan, please respond, sir.
Gaurav, my contention is very clear. My contentions are very clear. I go with the Places of Worship Act. I follow this agreement for settlement between both the parties into place, and there is no need for a survey. I respectfully disagree with the order passed by the Allahabad High Court for survey, because I feel the Places of Worship Act is still into existence, and this will open a Pandora's box, again hatred among the community, communal disharmony in the country. To prevent those things, let us be fair. Let us say once a mosque, always a mosque. मेरा ईमान और मेरा भी अकीदा है कि एक बार जब मस्जिद तामील हो गई वो क़यामत तक के मस्जिद ही रहेगी. You cannot change the nature and character of that place.
And you cannot demolish a temple and build a mosque.
वो आपका बोलना, अरे लेकिन कोर्ट ने सब डिसाइड फैसला हो चुका है. ये सब चीज का फैसला हो चुका है सर. ये सारी चीजों का फैसला प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट 1991 के तहत हो चुका है. You cannot. It's into place now. If you don't follow the law passed by the parliament, what will you follow, sir? You don't want
Vishnu
Shankar
Shankar
Jain. The law passed by the parliament also.
I want Vishnu Jain to respond.
After
the
discussion
Muslim side,
in
okay,
the parliament.
Varis Bhai, you made your point. You made your point. Vishnu Shankar Jain, respond. Yes.
Do you think that the courts of this country are not aware about the Places of Worship Act, or it was not argued by the mosque side before the High Court, or before the lower court. It was argued threadbare before the lower court and the high court, and the court rejected their argument that these cases are not barred by Places of Worship Act on 12th of September 2022 and by the Allahabad High Court on 31st of May 2023. And when the matter traveled to the Supreme Court, it was the observation of the Supreme Court that Places of Worship Act gives the freedom to ascertain the religious character. Now, Waris Bhai feels when I will say this, then what will Waris Bhai respond? He'll say, Supreme Court is supreme but not infallible. But the same Supreme Court will not become infallible when the Supreme Court will analyze or stay the Jahangirpuri demolition. When the Supreme Court will say that Ram Mandir was built, Ram Temple was not demolished, that Waris Bhai will quote, and then Supreme Court will not become infallible. But when the Rajiv Dhawan will tear Ram Mandir papers in the Supreme Court and no action will be taken, then Supreme Court will become not infallible. But Supreme Court will become infallible.
I want to stay on the current issue, sir. On the current issue. Yeah. Places of Worship Act 1991, Waris Pathan repeatedly raises that point. Vishnu Shankar Jain responds by saying, on 15th of August 1947, this was a temple. A mosque was constructed later after an illegal agreement is the point of the Hindu side. But be that as it may, Waris Pathan, look at the facts of this case. 1618, Raja Bir Singh Bundela built a temple. It was a temple. Initially, there was a temple there. 1670, there is a farman that is available that Aurangzeb had temples destroyed. It was Kashi Vishwanath that was destroyed, and it was Mathura Shri Krishna Temple that was destroyed. Marathas defeated the Mughals. Marathas took that land again. Hindus then subsequently bought that land from the British East India Company. Sir, these are facts for which documents are available. In India, the point that the Hindu side is raising, and I want you to respond, sir, should Hindus not have access to the birthplace of Bhagwan Shri Krishna?
Well, Gaurav, as you said right now, 1610, this happened, that time there were Muslim rulers, that time there were non-Muslim rulers, and they fought on the basis of the sword. They did whatever they felt like, but they ruled, they did whatever they felt like doing that. That time there was no constitution. Today we follow the constitution, and we speak on the basis of the constitution. There is a Places of Worship Act 1991, and as you spoke about 1670, 1870, whatever, all these things were taken into consideration by the frameworks of the Places of Worship Act 1991, which was argued before the parliament, debated in the parliament, and after taking into consideration these aspects, that was for otherwise. What is the use of the parliament making laws now? Tomorrow, any law
the parliament in 1991 did something that is detrimental to the interests of Hindus in this land.
Yes,
and that is acceptable. Waris Pathan,
you cannot.
okay.
You can. What about Muslims? What about Muslims? No. Why do you speak about Astha now? No, Gaurav. Now I will stop you.
I am not asking about Astha, sir.
The Astha now, as I said.
I am not. I am on law.
What about my Astha?
Sir, I am
what about
not
my faith?
on Astha.
What about my
Vishnu
faith?
Shankar Jain. Sir, I am not on Astha.
Then you spoke.
I am on law.
You
Vishnu
spoke.
Shankar
What
Jain.
about the Hindus? So speak about the Muslims as well. What about
Sir,
the Muslims?
What is the religious significance of a mosque at the Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi for Muslims?
Correct.
What is the significance?
Once a mosque, always a mosque.
That's the question.
Once a mosque, always a mosque.
Just
that
a minute.
is the significance.
I want to ask a question to Waris Bhai. Can you build a mosque after demolishing a Hindu temple? Answer yes or no. Can you build a mosque after demolishing a Hindu temple?
Who said the temple
yes
was
or
demolished?
No?
The same argument was...
No, I'm asking a question.
The same arguments placed before the Babri issue. The same arguments were placed at that time, but the Supreme Court held that no temple was destroyed. No temple was demolished.
What did he say?
Waris Bhai, we are on the issue of Mathura. We are currently on the issue of Mathura.
In a constitutional country, we have the right to approach the court and get remedy and justice from the court. Even this entire civilization has no right to get justice from the court. Only जो मुगलों ने कर दिया, जो बर्बरता कर दी, वो खत्म भूल जाए और कोर्ट्स ना जाए जस्टिस के लिए. This entire civilization is asking for justice.
जो बर्बरता की सारी चीजों को मद्देनजर रखते हुए Places of Worship Act बना, कायदा कानून बना, 1968 में समझौता हो गया.
Argument Gaurav. आप ये कहना चाहते हैं कि कोर्ट जाके ये बात पूछ भी नहीं सकते.
What argument? These are the facts. These are the facts that a settlement was done in the year 1968 between both the parties. Now 50 years later you come before the nation and you say we don't believe that agreement.
And the matter traveled to the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court...
Gaurav, may I take a leave, Gaurav, because I want to leave the channel, Gaurav.
Kindly give me 1 minute. Kindly give me 2 minutes. Varis bhai, give me 2 minutes. Okay, just 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes, Varis bhai. Give me 2 minutes. Vishnu Shankar Jain, Muslim side says agreement happened in 1968 and got court approval in early 1970s, 1974. Why is this matter being raised after 50 years? If you keep raising these matters, when will there be closure? Vishnu Shankar Jain.
See, I'll just immediately respond. If anything is obtained by fraud, it can be challenged at any point of time, and the Supreme Court judgments give me this liberty. And the moment it came to the knowledge of the devotees filed a suit. It was a suit by the devotees. It was not a suit by the trust or by any other body. So the
Okay.
Supreme Court judgment in Ram Mandir case 2021 SCC page 1 says that if the trustees or anyone has acted against the interest of the deity, the devotees can come to the court. And
Fair
here
enough.
in this case,
Varis
the devotees
Pathan,
have come,
if it
and
is
no
proven in
limitation
court,
applies so far as that aspect is concerned.
if it is proven in court that this was an agreement by fraud,
right.
is that okay? And I want to understand from you, sir, why can't there be an amicable solution? Is there possible that there can, for Mathura and Kashi, there's an amicable
Why
resolution?
should every time we suffer, Gaurav? Why amicable? Why every time only we should be the scapegoat?
are
Why
suffering.
every time should we
are suffering.
give our
This
money? Why
entire
every time they
civilization
want
is
our
asking for
masjid?
justice.
And they don't follow
We
the
want our dignity
constitution.
back.
Okay.
We want our dignity
They don't
back.
follow the
How can
constitution.
you
They don't
demolish
follow the
our
places of worship
and
act. They
bury it
don't
under
follow the law
stairs of
passed
any
by
mosque?
the parliament.
How can you demolish a
Where do
temple
we end now?
and bury it
They
under
want
the
to open
stairs
the
of any
Pandora's
mosque?
box every
And we
day.
should not ask even a
Clearly,
question. We should not
I
even file a
wanted,
case.
I wanted our viewers to get both sides. You've heard both sides. Now, of course, it's for the courts of law to decide on the legality of the matter. Varis Pathan and Vishnu Shankar Jain, as always, many thanks for joining me here on this special broadcast. And we'll be tracking this story very, very closely.